Your 2019 Open Conference of the Spikers Turf continues. This is our first day, and we'll see a couple of very interesting teams. First off, the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins, who struggled with their performance in our Rainforest Conference, going up against the NCAA champions Perpetual Altas. That is your third game and your main event for today's proceedings. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Carlo Pamintuan alongside Sheila Salaysay. And Sheila, 24 teams seeing action here in the Open Conference. So exciting for the development of men's volleyball.
Well, the good thing about that is we also have collegiate team. This will make our tournament more exciting, as you've mentioned. And it's not just double the numbers, but triple the numbers of teams we have in the previous conference for this league.
And this is your tournament system, as Sheila noted. We have 10 club teams and 14 school-based teams. We divided our squads into 4 groups, and we will have a single round robin with 2 teams per group, making it to the quarterfinals. Ang ating number 1 teams will have a twice-to-beat advantage.
That's correct. That is for the quarterfinal round. For the semifinal round, it's going to be best of 3 series. And then for the final round, of course, you have, yes, best of 3 as well for the championship battle for gold.
We will also crown a bronze medalist, a third-place finisher in a knockout matchup. Now it's time to look at who are the 24 teams competing. You will see familiar names in our roster. We will show you first Pool A and Pool B. We already saw the Adamson Falcons seeing action against the EAC Generals, picking up a win. And of course, in Group B, Philippine Air Force Jet Spikers doing what they do best, dominating the LPU Pirates in their own first game. And now we move forward to Pool D, Pool C and Pool D, where we will have even more competitors, which will only make our Open Conference so much more exciting.
That's correct. For this match, we'll be seeing the Coast Guard going up against Perpetual. You know, Coast Guard, we see them perform last conference, and you mentioned they have an additional libero for this conference.
And now let's send it over to our Coliseum announcer for the announcement of our starting units.
Presenting our officials for this match. First referee, James Oliver Mora, National Referee. Second referee, Yul Binosa, International Referee. Let's now meet the starting lineup for the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins. Let's start off with the team captain, jersey number 2, Rudy Gatdula. Correction, at number 10, Afazin Abdul Wahab. At number 2, Rudy Gatdula. Number 3, Edimar Kasim. Number 5, Larry Francisco. Number 12, Ismail Kasim. And number 14, Idam Adam. Starting libero is Renzi Hu. With head coach, Mr. Jeffrey De La Cruz. Let's now meet the starting 6 for the Varsity Perpetual Health System Delta Altas. Let's start off with jersey number 5, EJ Casanya. Number 7, Louis Ramirez. Number 9, Aljo Sereno. Number 12, Henry Malinis. Number 13, Roniel Rosales. And number 16, Jobert Almodiel. Starting libero is number 14, Gilbert Balmores. And sitting in as head coach, Mr. Marcelo Joaquin Jr. This is match number 3 of the preliminaries. Good luck to both teams.
Your starting lineup for the Philippine Coast Guard. Of course, in this unit, you have to be wary of the offense coming from Kasim, Ismail at that, and Adam. They will be loading up on the scoring for the Philippine Coast Guard. On the other side, for this outstanding squad of the Perpetual Altas, the middle blocker, of course, Roniel Rosales, and the two-time NCAA Most Valuable Player, Jobert Almodiel.
That's correct. You know, for Coast Guard, we have Kasim. Kasim was the #1 scorer of our league during the reinforced conference. It's going to be a tough match between these two teams.
Now, what happened was, 80% maybe of the offense for the Philippine Coast Guard in our reinforced conference went through Kasim. Kaya naman siya talaga yung nagbangko na napakaraming puntos, even though it was a big struggle for them to pick up victories.
Absolutely, and one of the things that Coach Jeffrey, reiterated that they have to improve more on their defense. That is why they have an additional libero for this conference.
No good serve to start off. Chance ball here for the Coast Guard.
That's a good save by Balmores.
Yep, good dive to start off, and the first point of this matchup belongs to Perpetual.
Well, that's unexpected down the line off-speed attack there. Kasim did not expect that attack.
Sheila, in the game before this, we saw the club team dominate against the school-based team. But if you look at the lineup, and if you look at the pedigree, mukhang itong Perpetual yung may advantage dito sa larong ito.
That's correct. If we're talking about experience, according to assistant coach Marcelo, they had 12 championships, for this team. 3 years solid as a team together compared to Coast Guard, although individually some of their players have joined tournaments or leagues before. You have, of course, their captain, Abdul Wahab, but still, kumbaga hindi pa sila ganon kahinog.
That's Edimar Kasim with the error there on the serve, which will give up a point for Perpetual. Abdul Wahab goes to the middle. Good quick attack there.
But that is because of a good first ball, good pass. And Abdul Wahab, was able to be creative in that play.
Of course, Abdul Wahab, the ever-reliable leader of the Philippine Coast Guard. And that hit is checked point for the Philippine Coast Guard.
Now you can see the start, Philippine Coast Guard showing, a better movement, fluidity. You can see their defense and offense working together.
Larry Francisco now serving for the orange shirts. One-handed serve pushed by the MVP Almodiel. Kasim with a strong one, and he hits it off the blockers and out.
It was read well by the defenders of Perpetual. But that attack was just too strong. It went out.
That was Ismail Kasim scoring as they lead 4-2 against Perpetual. And that will be a service ace for Francisco.
Misreception. Actually, that is because of the libero. They're not being able to read that ball well.
Francisco continues to serve here. Another good serve. Oh, misconnection for Perpetual. Another chance ball for Coast Guard Dolphins.
And that's a solid solo block there, courtesy of Ramirez. Now, if you will look at the replay, it's a quick set, but still a bit low.
Yeah.
And that is why Ramirez was able to see that coming.
Aljo Sereno serving for Perpetual. They go to Ismail Kasim. That hit is long, but checked.
And that is a ball touch on the side of Perpetual.
Outstanding start here for the Philippine Coast Guard. You know, you can forget about all the struggles in the reinforced conference. No conference, no hope for the orange shirts, but they commit an error here coming from Adam.
You know, one of the things that Coach Jeffrey told me before, we ended the reinforced conference, in their last game, he said that, they will come back stronger in the next Spikers turf. And so far, so good. That's what we are seeing right now.
I'm sure they picked up a lot of learnings from all of those struggles as Ismail Kasim scores again. He has been solid here in the early parts of our opening set.
And you can also see how versatile he is when it comes to his hits. On his first attack, it was cross-court. Now this time, it's down the line. In a reinforced conference, it's a struggle, a challenge for him to give off off-speed attacks, but this time he is, showing a different and a more improved Kasim.
Unfortunately for them, they commit a service error, and now Louis Ramirez is serving for Perpetual. Binalik lang yung error as we're heading into our first technical timeout of the first set. Philippine Coast Guard in a very interesting duel against the Perpetual Help Altas. 8-5 is the score in favor of the Coast Guard as we take this break.
Huwag natin pangatin, okay? Takbo lang ng takbo, okay? Tingin tayo, pag yung bola, lumipat na sa atin. Minsan yung chance ball, convert natin 2 points, okay? Meron lang, service. Minimize lang. Meron na service natin. Iwas muna tayo sa service error na. Let's go!
Perpetual Altas, this is their lineup. As you said, Sheila, the most important thing here is that they've been together for a while now. Sobrang magkakakilala na itong mga players na to. Their chemistry already intact.
That's correct. For this conference or for this season, they only have 2 freshmen, and that is Jodrick Balmores and Hero Austria, 2 seniors, and that is Jeric Atentar and Roniel Rosales, and the rest, buong-buo pa rin sila.
Of course, led by this guy, Jobert Almodiel, 2-time MVP. He was also the finals MVP in their last title reign in the NCAA. Pero hindi pa siya nabibigyan ng bola dito.
We still hasn't seen him, those great attacks. Nagpapainit pa yan, nagpapainit pa.
Gadula with the serve, picked up by the libero. That quick was well defended. Scramble works out for the Philippine Coast Guard. Kept alive. Almodiel sends it over. Chance ball for the Coast Guard. Nabantayan yung dump. Itong si Abdul Wahab. And he's whistled for double touch.
Ang ganda ng habo ng Coast Guard doon, and that was a free ball. No, it's just that Abdul Wahab, medyo mababa yung kanyang attempt for a dump.
Abdul Wahab was saying that the ball was touched by the blocker, but from that replay, Sheila, it was very clear na net lang talaga yung sumalo dun sa bola.
That's correct. And another cross-court hit there from Coast Guard, and that is Edimar Kasim. Now, on the side of Coast Guard, all the Kasims are brothers.
We have 3. We have Edimar, number 3. We have Ismail, number 12, and Ibrahim, number 13.
That's correct. And Ibrahim, he contributes more of the points for a Coast Guard.
So maybe we should just call them with their first names. Abdul Wahab with a serve there. Saan pupunta ang opensa nitong Perpetual? Good block from Francisco. One more try here. Sereno denied again, but that did not go over. 4 touches against Perpetual.
And this is a great opportunity for Coast Guard to continuously score. And the defense at the net also is present at this time. You saw that solo block earlier, courtesy of Francisco. And that just builds confidence for Coast Guard as they are up by big on the first set.
How about this? A 5-point advantage. Service error against Abdul Wahab. No, these are errors that you can definitely do away with. Sayang kasi. You're building your confidence. You're getting into your groove, and all of a sudden, it comes to a screeching halt because of a service error.
That's correct. No, but the advantage right now is, again, for a Coast Guard if they can convert this one to a point.
That point will belong once again to Perpetual.
Now, that is an excellent combination play. And that time is Edimar Kasim.
Edimar serving now. Oh, tough first ball there. Chance ball for the Coast Guard.
Good dig.
Almodiel sent up by Ismail Kasim. But he overcooks the mark, hits it long for an error.
No, he looks very excited, I can say, in hitting that ball, but he's not actually looking at the blocker because there's only one person in front of him, and then he still opted to hit that down the line where he can hit it, this in his strongest percentage cross-court attack.
You're seeing a lot of serves going to the way nitong si Ismail Kasim. They're targeting him, talking about Perpetual. But so far, he has proven that he is a good receiver of serves. Meanwhile, this point belongs to the Philippine Coast Guard, extending their lead back up to 5 points, 13-8. Almodiel off the blockers and out.
The blockers of Coast Guard are ready, but that attack from Almodiel is just too strong.
Papainit na itong si Almodiel. You see that ball bouncing out as they pull one back, 13-9. Good quick set there coming from Abdul Wahab. But this ball is kept alive. Almodiel.
Great dig.
Yep. Buhay pa rin Ismail. There was a four touches called there against Philippine Coast Guard.
I like the aggressiveness of Coast Guard showing when it comes to their defense. Well, that was a great opportunity for them to score. Ang ganda ng pasa. Great set and excellent hit. But then they were unaware, of the touches.
Still targeting Ismail Kasim. As that block works out. Our referee saying that it went against the net. Let's see this one more time. Oh yeah, great look there. Was not touched by the blockers. Instead, it slammed off the tape of the net and back to the side of the Philippine Coast Guard. Nabantayan yung quick nitong si Gatdula. One more try for the Dolphins. This one they get through.
The offense of Coast Guard, you can see them, from the open and then from the opposite, which is another advantage for them. During earlier, they always, go to Kasim as the percentage of Coast Guard.
Good touch there coming from the setter. Did not, put that much into it, just enough to score.
No anticipation was absent in that last sequence on the side of Coast Guard. And, that is a great eye for the setter, Perpetual.
AJ Casanya scoring. Almodiel serving.
And this time, that ball went through the side of Perpetual.
No, what Perpetual is hoping for is that being a receiver would limit yung mga touches nitong si Ismail Kasim, but it's not happening for them.
That's correct. And if you can see the height, comparing these two teams, they have taller blockers. As another error was committed for Coast Guard.
No, all these service errors are really keeping Perpetual in this first set. They're only down by 2. Strong hit there coming from Edimar Kasim. As we're heading into our second technical timeout of the first set, a 3-point advantage for the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins, 16-13 against Perpetual Altas.
Medyo bitin tayo eh. Kaya yung setter medyo nag-a-adjust. Okay? Maganda passing, magandang set. Okay? Wala tayong problema. Okay? Taas pa. Medyo na-late konti. Konting-konti lang. Pero bilisan mo na mataas. Okay? Tara.
Sa blockings, pakalam nyo na, overball na. Ganun nyo na agad.
Tingin tayo. Tingin tayo. Tingin.
Gas guard!
Good performance so far from the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins. And this is the lineup that Coach Jeffrey De La Cruz has formed as he hopes to provide a better performance as compared to what happened in the Reinforced Conference.
That's correct. And two additionals on this squad. You have Abraham Retamar, the second libero, and Abdul Rahman Talipan. That is an opposite spiker for Coach Jeffrey.
No, they saw what it would take to be a threat in the Reinforced Conference. Nakita nila, Sheila, kung gaano kalalakas yung kanilang mga kalaban. Certainly, they were able to use that experience to their advantage right now. Also adding a couple of extra weapons to help them here in our open conference.
That's correct. You know, Coach Jeffrey knows, where they stand and the ability and the capability of his players. That is why, he was able to, he was hoping to recruit some of them, and we are seeing, this team perform better this time.
Edimar Kasim with another point there to extend their advantage to 4, 17-13. Rudy Gatdula serving now for the Coast Guard. They go to Malinis. And that block sails out.
That's a great court sense on the side of Perpetual. They are attentive and really covering, those kind of attacks.
Sharp first ball there. Naging regalo para dito sa Perpetual.
This time it's a Coast Guard, committing first ball errors.
Aljo Sereno scoring easily there, inching his team closer, only down by 2. Smart touch coming from Francisco.
And a variety of hits, we are seeing coming from the attackers of Coast Guard, and that time no one was covering that space on the side of Perpetual.
Abdul Wahab serving again. Good presence on the blocking for the Philippine Coast Guard. They will have a chance here to score again. But that hit is out. And it will favor Perpetual, staying in this first set, down 16-18.
You can see on the approach, halatang magkapatid talaga tong dalawang to eh. The gesture and the way they approach that ball, even the hit, the contact solid. And another error this time from the service area.
That will surge the Coast Guard ahead by 3, 19-16 against Perpetual. Hindi pa natin nakikita yung usual na explosive na opensa nitong Altas.
That's correct.
And because of that, because of this 4-point disadvantage for Perpetual, they will request a timeout. Let's listen in.
Apat lang yan. Kapitan nyo lang. Naintindihan. Iba yung isang pasa muna, umatras ka na, umadjust ka na doon. Jump serve naman yung palo eh, di ba? So umadjust ka na doon. Naintindihan. Ha? O, isang pasa lang, tapos isang patay lang tayo. Tapos servisan lang natin. Ha? Okay. Hey, you got 110.
You see the coaching staff of Perpetual trying to remind their team that this set is not done yet. Only a 4-point disadvantage, still very much possible for them to bounce back and steal this one from the Philippine Coast Guard.
The challenge for them is to it is one great pass, their first ball, and they are really having difficulty on that. Like this one, it's an off hit No timing on the side of Kasim, but still the defense of Perpetual was not ready for that one.
Yun yung narinig natin from their coach Sheila, no? First ball lang. You know, you can trust that their offense is loaded, kaya nilang
Right.
pumuntos
Yes.
kontra sa Coast Guard. But you'll have to give your setter a better ball to have that chance. Service error coming from Ed Kasim.
That is a wasted opportunity this time for a Coast Guard.
Roniel Rosales now serving for the Altas. Good combination play there for Ismail Kasim.
Well, that's a lucky break on the side of Coast Guard, as our first referee, Oliver, saw that the blockers of Perpetual touch that hit, that attack from Kasim.
5-point advantage now for the Philippine Coast Guard. Almodiel scoring through the blockers.
You know, they need more of that if they can have great passes. You can see this time there's a gap on the side of the blockers of Coast Guard, and you see that hit. May kasamang, you know, tuldok eh. May diin from Almodiel.
Now a couple of substitutions coming from Perpetual. And Narciso will be serving his team down by 4. Saan pupunta ang Coast Guard? That hit is wide. Another point pulled back by Perpetual.
Too much angle. Masyadong nalihis yung atake na yon, coming from Adam.
Could this be the start of a comeback coming from Perpetual? Abdul Wahab goes to the quick. Well defended. Almodiel with the left hand. Hindi na maganda yung set. Sinubukan niyang gawa ng paraan. Came up short.
Well, that is too low, and sobra pa yung setup sa kanya. And another error on the side of Perpetual.
Timeout now for Perpetual. We're back down by 4, 23-19. Pakinggan natin muli.
Saan ka nakapwesto? Sa dulo. Sinong nasa harapan ng quicker? O A quick, tapos 4, tapos C. Ha? Isang patay, tapos servisan ulit natin. Sinong magsiservice ang sunod?
Si Jobert.
O, sige. Kapitan nyo lang. Iangat, kaya pa naman yan eh. Okay? Sigurado tayo kasi. Pag nasa atin na ang bola, sigurado tayo.
Kapit tayo.
Kaya mo sila magkamali, hindi tayo.
Philippine Coast Guard 2 points away from sealing the deal here in the first set. They're up by 4, 23-19. And, you know, yung pakiramdam, ibang-iba for the Philippine Coast Guard. Because they're hopeful about this new conference of Spikers Turf.
That's correct. On the side of Perpetual, I was able to talk to Coach Joaquin. Well, they're excited and challenged at the same time. But if you're going up against a more experienced, I can say, team like the Coast Guard, siguro nandyan pa yung medyo nag-aalangan pa sila when it comes to their movements.
Ramirez pulls one back for Perpetual off of that quick from the middle. Nakita niya, walang depensa doon sa dulo.
And most of the errors on the side of Coast Guard, you know, kaya naman lahat ng bola ng Perpetual dinadala sa likod. It's because a lot of people, you know, there's no one on that side of the court as Almodiel gets that first service ace.
MVP showing us why. Service ace there. A facial against the defense of Ed Kasim. Now he puts too much into it. Set point for the Philippine Coast Guard.
You know, I like the reaction of the libero of Coast Guard. You know, he was already attempting to get that ball, but you know, it was a good read still for the Coast Guard.
Ismail Kasim, the jump serve. Good defense coming from Kasim, keeping this ball alive.
Absolutely, but that offense was wasted as that hit from Kasim was just too strong.
Pwede pa to, ha? Only 2 points down. Is Perpetual. We'll have a substitution here. Austria coming in for Ramirez, the middle blocker. Mas gusto nila yung porsyento ni Austria as a server. Let's see what he comes up with. Really good serve. And that block goes out. So Perpetual would give up a point here to allow the Philippine Coast Guard to score a 25-22 victory in the first set. Good performance coming from the Coast Guard. Kasim, both Edimar and Ismail doing a great job. And of course, you also have to credit Abdul Wahab, making sure that the offense is flowing for the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins. They win the first set 25-22 against Perpetual Altas. The challenge now is how to bounce back from the early adversity for Perpetual help as they lost the first set 25-22 as you take a look at the numbers.
You know, it was a total dominance looking, at their attacks, 17 from a Philippine Coast Guard, only 7 of Perpetual. Although Coast Guard got more errors, 13, but they were able to compensate that by contributing more on their offense, and that is orchestrated, of course, by their team captain and the setter, Abdul Wahab. And Kasim already, has a tandem, on his brother. You have Ismail and Edimar Kasim doing the offense for the Philippine Coast Guard.
Adam, if he gets going, that's an additional weapon for the Philippine Coast Guard that they can really use para linlangin yung depensa ng Perpetual. Hindi mo na alam kung sino yung babantayan mo.
That's correct. And, whenever they have a good pass, Abdul Wahab has a lot of options. But one thing that they still have to avoid, is to commit those service errors.
Too many mistakes on the serving department for the Philippine Coast Guard. If they limited their errors from the service area, it could have been a more comfortable first set victory for them.
Totally agree. Their errors, 4 of which came from services, and that is already 4 points given easily to a Perpetual, as the defenders of Perpetual seeing that hit and set up excellently.
Sheila, for this second set, what should be the biggest adjustment coming from Perpetual?
Definitely, they have to work on their first ball and their receive. That is what Coach Marcelo has been emphasizing during the first set. And if they get good passes, that's what happens. Almodiel gives a point from that attack.
3-1 advantage for Perpetual in the early going of our second set. Abdul Wahab goes to Ismail. That hit is out and in favor of Perpetual.
He's been hitting that ball consistently down the line. I guess that is like the third or fourth time he did that, and it's still sails away. And his strongest angle is always the cross court.
Oh, friendly touch from the tape there. Gives Perpetual an ace courtesy of Hero Austria, and that will force the hand of the Philippine Coast Guard. Coach Jeffrey De La Cruz requesting this timeout.
Spikers, huwag natin gawin option yung Spikers, gawin natin guide yung blockers. Okay, wag yung flow. Okay. Patamahin nyo ng patamahin. Okay. Alas tayo nyo na patama sa blockings eh. Momentum natin. Gawin yung guide yun.
And that is a great reminder coming from Coach Jeffrey De La Cruz to play not with what the floor defense is giving you, but kung ano yung binibigay ng blockers.
Now, one thing I can say, gulang, and that tamang basa, because you can see the blockers of Perpetual, they are really tall, and they can easily tower the offense of a Coast Guard. And that is a great hit, great drop on the side of Coast Guard. Ang laki nung area. It's an open space, and Perpetual anticipating a strong attack.
Ang sama na nung first ball coming from the Philippine Coast Guard. They still found a way to score in that one. Inching their team closer. Combination play.
There's a net touch. And that is Adam.
But you can sense that here in the second set, Sheila, there is a more organized effort para bigyan ng touches si Almodiel.
That's correct. And that is because they are improving when it comes to their offense, their first ball.
Almodiel gets a touch on that one. And the quick, a little too long, just a couple of inches long.
Edmar Casim was right there. Naiwan siya sa likod to defend that area. And most of the time, there was nobody to look and safeguard that back row for the Philippine Coast Guard.
Ada Madam serving. That quick was quickly sent back by the Philippine Coast Guard defense. Solid blocking coming from the orange shirts. One more try. Oh, but there was a hole at the back part of the defense at the Coast Guard.
No communication. That is between Ibrahim Retamar and Edmar Casim. That is a lost opportunity. It's already a free ball. You can see excellent defense being shown there by the Philippine Coast Guard.
Wala namang lakas dun sa palo masyado eh. Hindi pa rin na depensa ng Philippine Coast Guard, who sets it up a little too strong. One more chance here. Perpetual. That hit is long kontra sa altas.
I like how Adam, manages to avoid that ball. Nag-ala matrix siya. If you saw that one, it was too high, and that was a good read for Adam.
Alam mo, Sheila, yung mga millennials baka hindi na maintindihan yung matrix. Kailangan baguhin siguro. Mga kabatch natin papasa pa.
Nako.
For the younger crowd, maybe not.
Maybe, okay. I will try to figure out a more millennial comparison dun sa ganung gesture, movement later on.
Ismail Kasim serving now. His team still down by 2. 7-5. Sobra na naman. A little too strong on the serve. And that will push us to our first technical timeout of the second set. Perpetual with a good bounce back performance. They're up by 3, 8-5 against the Dolphins.
Kanya-kanyang trabaho lang, okay? Bukasan natin yung error sa service.
Service, take time.
Take time, okay? Kumpiyansa. Problema, out. Tara.
Dalawang blocker. Okay? Naintindihan ba? Ha? Pag nag-transition tayo ng bola, kailangan mabilisan. Ang quicker, kailangan laging aatim. Pag binigay sa'yo, paluin mo kagad.
And of the first
I like the point of Coach Jeffrey. You know, he emphasized on avoiding or lessening their service
Yep.
errors.
Almodiel serving for Perpetual. Abdul Wahab forced to tap that ball to the other side. At ang resulta, mabilis na gante mula kay Ramirez.
You know what I like about the boys of Coach Marcelo? You know, they easily follow instructions.
Yeah.
Kanina, just the quicker, pumasok ka lang, and then pag binigay sa'yo, just have to hit that ball. And that's what happened in that last sequence.
You know, to the point that you made earlier, Sheila, as we check out this attack coming from Ismail Kasim, when you give Abdul Wahab a first ball, ang dami niyang pwedeng gawin. But in that last point that they gave up, the first ball was too strong, kaya kailangan niya talagang tapingin
That's
papasok na.
correct. Yes, and that's a good timing, you know, for him. Lalo na, you know, wala na siyang area to set that ball up.
But what changed for Perpetual? It's like we're looking at a very different team as compared to what we saw in the first set.
Well, you know, I have to say that they were able to be more comfortable when it comes to their movements. Kanina, medyo nag-aalangan pa sila pagdating sa playing court. But this time, you know, you can see how well they gel with each other. And that is already an advantage for them as Philippine Coast Guard commits another attack error.
Sila naman yung parang nagmamadali sa kanilang opensa. Ed Kasim hitting it wide. 5-point disadvantage now for the orange shirts. Who with a good pickup. Abdul Wahab sends it up. Oh, di pa nag-usap dun. Sina Adam at Ismail Kasim.
What happens to the Philippine Coast Guard, you know, this is one of their issues.
Yeah.
Kapag nalalamangan na sila ng kalaban, they lose communication. And that is very apparent, you know, on the court if you look at them.
Two very good serves coming from Ramirez. Adam sets it up.
That's a
Sent
great
back.
defense.
Yep. The running hit off the blockers and out. I believe there was a touch. Yep.
There is. And once that ball hit the blocker's hands of Perpetual, it changed the direction. And that is, that score is in favor this time of Philippine Coast Guard.
Kaya naman napakarami ng ating officials. So if our lead official does not have a good angle at it, maraming pwedeng tumulong sa kanya.
That's correct. And that linesman saw that there's a touch correctly, and a great joust, which was won there by Rosales.
Look at it one more time. Over reception, joust at the net, and it sides with Perpetual. Oh, good serve, an ace coming from Perpetual once again.
And that is the third time for this set for Perpetual. And slowly, you know, they were Perpetual slowly exposing the weakness of Philippine Coast Guard.
Casanya with that ace. This is an overhit.
And
No touch.
there is,
Yep.
according to our linesman.
Another touch goes the way of the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins. But they're still down by 6, 14-8. Good combination play there. Kept alive.
That's a great save.
Chance ball though for Perpetual. Casanya sets it up. Good block. Kaso, napahawak na sa net.
Francisco able to see, you know, the kind of plays of Perpetual. Ang gaganda na mga depensa nila. In that not even the combination plays, just that he touched that net.
That block sails out and in favor of the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins. But yung mga sitwasyon na ganyan, you still applaud the defense because at least they were there.
That's correct. And you know, ang binabantayan mo is si Ismael Kasim, which is the #1 attacker for a Coast Guard.
Good one-handed set turned into gold by Almodiel. Second technical timeout of the second set. 7-point advantage for Perpetual. 16-9 against the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins.
Basta ang target natin, open spiker nila. Wala nang iba. Mag-stick tayo doon. Yung reach natin sa taas, ganito lang. Huwag nyo na i-wave. Kasi ang haba ng reach natin hinahampas nila, hindi naman malaro ang kamay niyan hinahampas lang nila ng malakas. Basta importante, nakatapat tayo. Ang set play natin dapat mabilis. Naintindihan? Diretso tayo.
Pulaway.
It's like we're watching a different team. Talking about Perpetual Altas here in the second set. They're more loose, more aggressive even with their attacks as they're up 16-9 against the Philippine Coast Guard.
You know, sabi nga ni Assistant Coach Marcelo, isa lang ang target nila, and that is Ismael Kasim. If he gets that ball, you know, Abdul Wahab will not give him, you know, that the third ball to be hit, and that is a good strategy since Ismael is their #1 attacker.
There's a little bit of confusion coming from the substitutions itong Philippine Coast Guard.
Well, a reminder when it comes to the Bero coming in and out of the court.
Roniel Rosales serving. Kadula with a set. He goes to Kasim. Good dig there. Malines sets it up. Almodiel had to figure out something. His rally continues. Over reception. Kasim, though, misses the mark. He hits it wide.
No, there is miscommunication between Gatdula and Kasim. Another, you know, opportunity that was lost on the side of Coast Guard. Ang ganda na ng regalo Ganda ng timing.
Sayong-sayo na Binalik pa niya sa Perpetual. As he continues to be the target for their serves. Good defense there coming from Almodiel. Pero chance back row hit is long kontra sa Philippine Coast Guard.
The offense for a Philippine Coast Guard is struggling at this moment, although, you know, they can see those balls. Good defense there.
And going back to the point that you made earlier, pag nasasaktan yung kumpiyansa nitong Philippine Coast Guard, they can't seem to recover.
That's correct. It's difficult for them to recover. Ang nangyayari, they don't communicate. They start to play, you know, individually, and Coach Jeffrey sees that every time.
Saan pupunta ang opensa? Good combination play, but it's out a little wide coming from Perpetual.
Masyadong malaki yung iniwas ng quicker doon in that last sequence, seeing there's only a blocker on the side of Philippine Coast Guard.
But at this stage of the matchup, Sheila, Perpetual, they know that they can take chances as they're up by 7 points.
Another service error for this for a Philippine Coast Guard.
Patuloy pa rin yung kanilang pamimigay ng puntos patungo sa Perpetual because of all these errors on the serving department. 19 now serving 11. Duluhab goes to the back set. Miscommunication there. Ill-timed jump coming from Gatdula. Pero nanggigil dun sa soft touch. Left it a lot short, talking about Kenry Malinis.
Well, Kenry Malinis might have forgotten that he's at the back row. Well, he opted to give off a drop shot. Masyadong malayo sa net.
Solid serve coming from Ismail Kasim. A quick reply though coming from Perpetual. Ed Kasim slowed down by the blockers. This rally will continue. That quick is effective for Ramirez.
No, I love the movement that Perpetual is doing here, getting those check balls and being able to convert them to a point.
Timeout for the Philippine Coast Guard. Pakinggan natin sila.
Guys. Analyze tayo ng game. Okay? Analyze tayo ng game. Apat eh. Ano lang tayo ng sunod-sunod na apat. Bumagsak yung game natin. Okay? Angat natin. Wala pa pag-uwi. Binabago nyo eh. Okay? Huwag nyo baguhin. Okay? Wala tayong magagawa. Kung service nyo, out nyo. Ano nyo. Okay? Bahala kayo. Kayo makakasolusyon yan.
You can feel the dejection coming from the coach itong Philippine Coast Guard. Parang, ano pa bang sasabihin ko tungkol sa service errors?
Wait, you know, one thing that has been their issue since last conference, and another one, if you are the person serving, you have to take time. You are given 8 seconds to do that. Anong ginagawa? Why would you put it to waste? You know, that is already a free ball given kapag naka-ace ka. But if it's an error, that's also an easily point given to your opponent.
Good cross-court attack coming from Ed Kasim as Gatdula will now serve. The pressure on him to make sure that this one is a good clean serve. And it is. Good block there coming from the Dolphins. Another chance though from the back row. Sent up. Walang pumulot. It was live. It was possible to get, but no one running for it for the Dolphins.
And again, no one attempted, to run to that ball.
Good serve coming from Ramirez. Running hit though is much better for the Philippine Coast Guard.
And that's a great opportunity. That is Francisco again from a running attack.
Di na nabantayan ng depensa.
They need more of that. Nakita mo when Abdul Wahab set that ball up, ang bilis ng paghahampas niya kaya hindi naman nahabol. But that was returned easily by Rosales from another running attack.
Sabi niya, what you can do, we can do better. As they're up by 8 now, 22-14. They've been dominant here in the second set. Tough first ball there. Wahab did all he could to still set it up, but the hit is wide. Kaya naman 2 puntos na lamang. At may papanalo na ng Perpetual help ang second set. What a good quick there
You know,
As
the last,
Francisco has
yes,
been effective for
that's
them, Sheila.
correct. I totally agree. The last 2 points came from Francisco. You know, the good thing about Philippine Coast Guard is Ismael Kasim is not effective at this time, even Edimar Kasim. But it was Francisco doing the works as another service error given up by Philippine Coast Guard.
They've had their chances here in the second set, but they're throwing it away with all of these service errors. Serving for the set now is Hero Austria. Good serve coming from him. But an even better response coming from the Dolphins.
Well, that offense from Adam, you know, penetrated the blocks of Perpetual. And that is a good distribution by Abdul Wahab, as you know, they are targeting Kasim. Or even binabantayan si Ismael Kasim.
And that will punctuate the second set in favor of Perpetual Altas, 25-16, a 9-point win here in the second set. As we noted earlier, Sheila, it was like watching another team perform as they came to life with all of these attacks. Great defense, great offense. They involved Almodiel, but it was way more than him. It was a balanced attack coming from them that enabled the Altas to pick up the victory here in the second half.
No, I totally agree. Unti-unti, no, they're getting their groove, finding their rhythm, and even, you know, snatching that momentum on the side of Philippine Coast Guard.
Third set coming up. Third set coming up, all tied up at 1 set apiece. Ito yung numero ng ating nung second set, 25-16. You can see the errors, 10 of them against the Philippine Coast Guard. A lot of those because of their service errors.
That's correct, you know, and that's what, you know, made them, put them to a test. And it was maximized on the side of Perpetual. But you can see their statistics, you know, hindi naman ganun kalaki yung advantage nila when it comes to the attacks and the blocks.
Pakonti-konti lang eh. Couple of attacks, a block, a service ace. But what really sank the boat for the Philippine Coast Guard were their errors. As you can see now, who will take advantage of this third set? Perpetual ba or Philippine Coast Guard? We'll find out next. Again, we thank you for your continued support of your 2019 Spikers Turf Open Conference. Carlo Pamintuan and Sheila Salaysay on the call. We would like to extend our birthday greetings to Signal Vice President for Channels and Content, Ms. Shena Olaso, as we open the third set with Perpetual getting the first blood.
That's a good timing there. Actually, that attack was not so hard, but the blockers, you know, that ball hit the antenna, and that favored Perpetual.
Service error mula naman sa Perpetual. So let's see if that bug will also affect them here in the third set. Great effort there to keep this ball alive, but a chance ball for the Coast Guard. And it's quickly converted into a point.
That is the effort, we've seen on the side of Perpetual. Ang ganda ng ginagalaw nila. They can read, those balls and even go to the balls kahit ang layo na. But an opportunity for a Coast Guard this time did not waste it, but service error. That's courtesy of Eddie Marcasim.
So one service error apiece sa ating pagsisimula ng third set. This is Roniel Rosales serving for Perpetual. Combination play, nabantayan. Great blocking coming from the Altas.
No anticipation or coverage for the Philippine Coast Guard every time it's Ismael Kasim's, hitting that ball. But that is the problem. You need to cover. And every time hindi naman yan makakapuntos. Perpetual, another service error.
Second service error of the third set for the Altas, which will send Larry Francisco to the service area. Good first ball, combination play.
So that's an excellent play this time. And a clean hit by Malinis.
You had to say it, right? You had to.
No blockers in front of him. Na kuhang-kuha nung quicker yung blockers. Kaya naman naging solid yung atake niya na yun.
Oh, soft touch. Nagbasa na ng depensa. Itong si Ismael Kasim using, smarts over his power there.
That is the one thing that he has to work on. Seeing the right timing to hit that ball hard and, being able to view those open areas, wide spaces on the defense of their opponent. Well, during the reinforced conference, more on strong attack siya. But this time, a little diversity when it comes to his hits.
For all, tight start to our third set. Quick is good for Ramirez.
That's a superb play. Courtesy of Casanya, their setter. Tinginan pa niya kung sino yung attackers na eh. But he opted to give that quick attack.
Pero pag nasa gitna si Ramirez, great things happen para sa kanilang koponan.
That's correct.
Meanwhile, Perpetual starting to get going. Scoring back-to-back points as they're up 6-4. Almodiel serving. Kasim blocked once again, and they will not be able to scramble to keep that ball alive. Mabilis na timeout for the Philippine Coast Guard. Hindi na hinintay yung ating technical timeout. They want to talk it over right here, right now, after allowing 3 straight points.
Yung kilos natin, hindi pang panalong galaw okay? Huwag natin baguhin. Kung ano yung malakas natin, yung gawin natin, okay? Quicker, mabagal masyado, nababasa okay? Medyo bilisan natin yung pasok para yung setter nakaka-fake. Okay?
Game, ganun po.
Dikit natin sa net. Dikit natin sa net. Go! Hey! Let's go!
Philippine Coast Guard trying to look for a solution, trying to find a way to stop the bleeding right now. Naskoran sila ng 3 sunod-sunod na puntos mula sa Perpetual Altas as Almodiel continues to serve.
I agree with Coach Jeffrey. They are showing a bit of uncertainty when it comes to their movements. And another smart hit by Kasim. Kita mo, hinampas lang niya para tumama sa kamay ng mga blockers. And that ball went out.
That stops the bleeding para sa Philippine Coast Guard as Ismael Kasim serving right now. Really good serve. Second ball almost scoring for both camps. Good little rally here. Abdul Wahab sets it up. Maganda yung depensa ng Altas. They go to Austria. The soft touch check. One more try. Soft touch ulit. Still will not work. Austria again. Pinalo na. Hinampas na. And he scores off the check ball.
You know, I like the excellent defense shown by these two teams. Ang ganda. And you see their effort, you know, in this last play. That Austria hitting that down the line. Excellent eye.
8-5. First technical timeout of the third set. Perpetual up by 3. And that is the end of the first technical timeout. Thank you for sticking with us here on Spikers Turf. Airing exclusively on One Sports. Carlo Pamintuan and Sheila Salaysay on the call. Philippine Coast Guard won the first set. Perpetual took control of the second set. And now they're hoping to do the same here in the third as they're protecting a 3-point lead. That hit will not go over for the Dolphins, giving up another point.
As Eddie Marcasin was off timing already when it comes to that approach, and when he hit that ball, the contact was just too low. That is why it went straight to the net, and that was maximized again by Perpetual.
Another service error. Bumaligtad na. Ito nang Altas ang maraming service errors. They have 3 here in the third set. That's 3 of the 6 points. Kalahati.
No, easy points ang binigay to a Coast Guard.
Attacking error this time coming from Austria. So the mistakes are definitely piling up for Perpetual.
Well, let's just hope that the Philippine Coast Guard can, you know, maximize those errors and convert them to scores.
Hindi maganda yung reception. Hindi handa sa depensa itong si Ismail Kasim as Perpetual extends their lead back up to 3, 10-7.
He wasn't even in the right position. Nakatayo na siya when he, you know, tried to dig that ball.
That's why coaches would constantly remind players to stay low. Mas maganda yung porsyentong makuha yung bola. Austria with another attacking error though.
And this time he opted to hit that ball down the line, but just too wide. Easy points given to the Philippine Coast Guard.
Abdul Wahab with the serve. Tough first ball to deal with. Austria. That did not go over. 3 attacking errors quickly para sa kanya.
Slowly but surely, Philippine Coast Guard is climbing, you know, in this part of the set and taking advantage of the mistakes of Perpetual.
Saan naman pupunta? They go to the running attack. But that is still out. Ganon-ganon na lamang, Sheila. Tabla na ang ating score. 10-all. After this good run coming from the Philippine Coast Guard.
No, Casanya tried the open hitter earlier, this time the middle attacker, but still same results. Their ball was just too strong.
That quick was sent back. Austria sets it up. Tough set. Ayun na nga, tumama sa antena.
That is 4 consecutive attack errors for a Perpetual.
And now it's Perpetual that is looking like the rattled team right now. Down by 1, 11-10. Tina-target din nila itong si Almodiel. That's a good block coming from the Coast Guard. They extend their lead to 2.
The great things happen when the Philippine Coast Guard starts to communicate, and you can see this time yung depensa naman nila sa net. That's been giving them points. You know, both defense at the net and on the floor, keeping them alive at this part of the set.
Sheila, tagal na ni Abdul Wahab dito sa service area. Really taking advantage of this opportunity. They're racing their deficit, building their own lead. Finally, Perpetual figures out a way to stop that run as Malines converts. They're only down by 1 now.
San Francisco became more aggressive at that last setup. Hala niya i-drop ng setter, but it was hit, and that's a good opportunity for Perpetual.
It is good for the Dolphins. Ngayon, tumataas na ulit yung kumpiyansa nila, no? They all lost it as a team, as a unit in the second set, but now they're enjoying playing alongside each other once again.
And then now the question is, you know, they have to be able to be consistent on that. But there's a net touch committed by Francisco.
Regalo, pinanggigilan, naging bato pa para kay Francisco. Look at this one more time. It was an over reception. Boom, there was a net touch.
Clearly.
Sobra yung palo, no touch. Our linesmen confer that there is indeed no touch. A point for Perpetual. 13-13, our tightest set so far. They go to Ismail, denied by a couple of blockers to give the lead back to Perpetual.
Third attack error on the side of Philippine Coast Guard, and again, no coverage for these guys in orange.
14-13, the Altas have recovered. Sharp serve there, targeting Ismail Kasim once again. Soft touch, easily picked up. They go to Almodiel, who scores.
You can see the connection of Perpetual from the pass to the set to the hit. And Almodiel, hindi nga malakas yung atake niya. It's just the timing was there.
Nasa harap si Ramirez kasama ni Almodiel. But they won't be able to take advantage of that as the Dolphins score to pull one back.
And that is the point given to Philippine Coast Guard.
Serving 15. Almodiel back at it. Great defense on the floor from the Dolphins. Chance ball para sa Perpetual.
And that ball is out. You know, I like the confidence of Casanya, the setter. And, you know, every time he gives off that quick attack, lalo na sa mga crucial parts of the rally.
Gusto niyang hinahanap si Ramirez eh. Let's see where he goes here. That hit is in for Almodiel. And that will send us, Sheila, into our second technical timeout. Perpetual recovering after giving up the advantage to Philippine Coast Guard. Almodiel now heating up at this stage of the third set. They have a 1-point lead.
Kilos pa. Tara.
Magkapasok yan, magalang si Brad, ha? Habulin natin.
Sige. Receive tayo, ha? Tara. Isang bagsak yan. Guys.
16 to 15. A slim 1-point advantage for Perpetual, as they're currently trying to keep the Philippine Coast Guard at bay. As we welcome you back to One Sports, Carlo Pamintuan and Sheila Salaysay at your service.
For this part of the set, Philippine Coast Guard still just needs to be able to sustain, hindi nila dapat pabayaan na lumayo ng malaki itong Perpetual, because if they do, the Perpetual will use it as to their advantage.
Muffed attack there coming from the Dolphins, much to the delight of Perpetual, as they just won an important point there.
Ke was a bit surprised from that setup. He did not expect that Abdul Wahab will give him that ball.
Malinis with the serve. For first ball. Over reception naman. Lucky break for Perpetual. Nahulog na lang dun sa side nitong Dolphins.
Well, Adam was not in a position. He thought that he is beside that sideline. But unfortunately, laki pa ng space na naiwan doon.
At ganun-ganun na lamang because of those back-to-back points. Tatlo na ang lamang ng Perpetual Altas. Ismail Kasim denied by two blockers once again.
Now, I was just saying earlier, Philippine Coast Guard, needs to be able to sustain. But then they allowed Perpetual to get more points.
The reaction there coming from Ramirez. Basang-basa niya yung opensa na gustong gawin ng Dolphins. As they're up by 4, 19 to 15. Good floor defense coming from the Altas. Back set, soft touch, it's gone.
And finally, that attack was seen by Malinis. Ang ganda, open area on the side of the defense of Philippine Coast Guard.
Coast Guard calling this timeout in an effort to arrest the skid. Look at this smart, soft touch, finding the gaps on the defense of the Coast Guard and forcing them to call this timeout.
Yung game na ginagawa nyo, isa lang eh. Hindi tayo nagko-convert ng mga ibang galaw eh. Okay? Puro palo. Kahit, ayan, double duck. Okay? Pero natin yun, no? Malayo pa yan, malayo pa yan. Ano pang bukas?
The request from the coaching staff of the Philippine Coast Guard, Sheila, was to vary up their offense, to keep the defense guessing mula sa Perpetual.
That's correct. In the first set, nakita natin the fluidity of their movement because they have good first ball. Abdul Wahab, great distribution sa kanyang mga attackers. But then, this time, they're having issues pagdating sa kanilang opensa.
Balik kay Ibrahim and he hits it under. And you can feel it. He was being bothered by that two-man defense. Kaya naman sinubukan niyang lakasan yung palo, instead committing the attacking error.
Yeah, it also could be, may kasamang gigil na kasi yun because they are down here, by 6. Earlier, they're just, down by a point, but then their errors piling up. Kaya naman ganito yung nangyayari.
Ramirez with a good block there. Pinayungan si Ke. And if you remember, Sheila, in our technical timeout, the score was 16 to 15. So that means that the Altas have now rifled off 6 straight points to take complete control of this set.
That's correct. And, nawala na sa momentum even the attackers of Philippine Coast Guard. And Ramirez still, becoming consistent and solid, aggressive at the net. And that is doing the works this time for Perpetual.
22 to 15. All of a sudden, a 7-point gap between these two squads. A soft touch bitin. Ito naman yung sinasabi natin kanina, Sheila. When they struggle with their confidence, pag naskoran sila ng 2-3 sunod-sunod na puntos, nababasag yung kumpiyansa nitong Coast Guard.
Exactly. Even, yung that kind of attack, uncertainty already. You know, pagdating sa opensa, pagdating sa first ball, everything in all departments.
And that is in. That's a service ace for Perpetual. Philippine Coast Guard defense allowing that to happen.
You know, at the early part of our set, Philippine Coast Guard, nakita mo, they're all smiling. The movement is there. They can read points or they can read balls, attacks easily. But this time, you know, that is what is lacking at this part of the set.
After the technical timeout, sunod-sunod na, nagpaulan na ng puntos itong Perpetual. Back row attack sent up by Hu. Good floor defense coming from Perpetual once again. Chance ball binigay dito sa Dolphins. Look at that dive coming from the libero as this rally continues. Tuloy pa rin tayo, Perpetual looking for a way to punctuate it. Off the blockers and now the smart hit coming from Muhali. Kakapasok lang sa laro. Immediately making an impact, Sheila. That was 10 straight points.
You know, you have to commend, you know, the effort being shown there by the libero. That is a Balmores, you know, diving, and you know, you can see him everywhere, running here and there. And that won't be the defense will be possible by this guy from that dolphin dive.
Look at that dive. And of course, the finale coming from Muhali. 25-15 is your score here in the third set as the Perpetual Altas take a 2-1 lead in this matchup. Looking for the killer blow as they want to finish off the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins here in the fourth set. As you take a look at the numbers, 25-15, yung attacks naman, yung sobrang pabor dito sa Perpetual in the third set, Sheila.
You know, all the Philippine Coast Guard was able, you know, to be on the same page at the early part of the set, but Perpetual decided, you know, to step on the gas and be more aggressive. Looking at these numbers, 12-5. Errors, 9-6, mas marami pa din ang Perpetual, but they were able to compensate, adding to that, you know, the 6 blocks that they did during this set.
They were actually able to limit their errors. Talking about the Dolphins, no, halos na ubus na nila yung kanilang service errors. However, they could not find a way to slow down the red-hot offense coming from the Altas, as they are now serving to start off set number 4.
Abdul Wahab not starting for this part of the match. And you had Laid, the second setter, filling in.
Gadula, who also on their bench, another careless error. Pinabayaan lang nila. They're seeing where the ball is going. They're hoping that it sails out, pero hindi. Kaya napupuntusan sila.
Well, Coach Jeffrey, thinks that his second unit might, step up for this part of the game. And that is why, he put this guys in this time. But still, lacking communication inside.
That second serve coming from Casanya is long. 2-1 is our score in favor of Perpetual. Casanya sets it up. Strong hit there coming from Austria.
That's an excellent attack, a down the line hit. Solo blocker on the side of Coast Guard, and their defense on the floor was not prepared for that kind of hit.
Ito yung hindi mo pwedeng gawin if you're the Philippine Coast Guard squad. You know that confidence is very important to your squad. So hindi ka pwedeng pumayag na malamangan kayo agad-agad.
And their movement seems totally different. Defense is disorganized.
Austria serving now his team up by 3, 4-1. Kapos, pati yung hampas na yan, that did not go over for Francisco.
That's correct. That set is a bit low for Francisco.
5-1, a nightmarish start for the Dolphins. Kasi wala pa silang atake dito, Sheila. That 1 point was courtesy of a bad serve coming from the other side. Finally, they get one from Kasim.
He needs a lot of that as well. And reinforcement on their side. But first, they need to begin with a good reception or defense.
Good numbers, 9 attacks and an ace. Then a rotation error mula sa Philippine Coast Guard. That was Al Nasil Dulaid with the error there. Four-point advantage for Perpetual. Balik sila kay Kasim. And he's able to score.
Austria was already in the position to dig that ball up. Pero masyadong malakas yung atake ni Kasim.
Good serve coming from Adam. Ball is still alive. Nagawan pa ng paraan. Chance though for Perpetual. That soft touch will not work. Good defense coming from the Dolphins. They go back to the MVP and he delivers.
Retamar was not in position to cover that cross-court attack. That's why there's a big gap between Edimar Kasim and Retamar.
7-3. Kenry Malines serving. Over reception. Automatic point for Ramirez.
That is one weakness that Philippine Coast Guard has, and targeting Ismael Kasim.
8-3 is the count. What a start for Perpetual Altas here in the 4th set as we head into our first technical timeout. Perpetual Altas wanting to take complete control of this 4th set early as they are pouring it on against the Coast Guard up by 5 points, 8-3. another service ace here for Kenry Malinis.
No, there has to be an adjustment already when it comes to their defense. You know, apparently, Ismael Kasim is the target on the first ball. You know, kailangan ng coverage in that part.
How will his teammates help him out? Doon si Huna yung pumulot. But this time, Kasim, well defended. Kasi alam na nila na nanggigigil na siya. He's so frustrated with his receptions that he wanted to attack immediately after.
Well, you can see how he wanted to get points. You know, but then, you know, if he can just get 5 straight points, you know, 5 points in one attack. Pero hindi ganun eh, you know. You have to be consistent and be more patient. Good defense is the start.
From the back row, finally nakapuntos din itong Philippine Coast Guard. And look at this, they'll try to work on this 6-point deficit without Abdul Wahab, without Ismail Kasim. Good read there coming from the Dolphin defense, allowing that ball to bounce out.
Now, finally, court presence, you know, was seen in that last sequence. You know, this newbies, new guys of Coach Jeffrey still, you know, trying to find the rhythm inside the court.
Ganda talaga ng kamay ng batang to, no? Itong si Ramirez off quicks. He's very effective. Isasampal niya lang against the blockers, knowing that it will bounce out.
You know, that is also the advantage of being tall. As you can see, ang dami niyang options in hitting that ball.
Naku, Sheila, pareho tayong walang experience sa mga ganyang klaseng advantage.
You know, when I was playing, that is the only position na hindi ko nalaro.
We're vertically challenged, let's just put it that way. Meanwhile, 11-6 is the score, still in favor of Perpetual. Dolphins serving though. Bantayan yung quick.
Yes.
Ganda ng depensa, ganda ng basa.
And that's a solo block, and you know, that was missing. You know, in the early parts of our match, Francisco was silent in the defense.
Gatdula serving for the Coast Guard. This time it's a combination. Well defended.
Good dig there.
Net touch.
Oh, that is a lucky break on the side of a Coast Guard. No, that setup is already an overset. But aggressiveness was shown by Akasanya, the setter.
Pero unti-unting bumabangon itong Philippine Coast Guard. They're only down by 3. However, that is a service error for Gatdula. (12-8), Ramirez serving. This guy has been very impressive for the Altas. Good first ball mula kay Hu. Francisco had to jump twice. Kaya naman nabawasan yung lakas ng kanyang atake. Edmar Kasim hits it way wide. Oh, but there's
a net touch and another lucky break for Philippine Coast Guard. You know, Edmar Kasim was making, you know, too much of an angle, hitting that tough angle.
He missed that by a mile. Yun, gumalaw yung net. Malinaw sa ating replay. As you said, lucky break for the Philippine Coast Guard. Running attack is good though for Rosales.
You know, that's actually 2 times, you know, good opportunity given to Coast Guard, but Perpetual hindi na pumayag, you know, to give them another chance to score.
Back set was perfect. Hit was good. As they're back up by 4. Good defense. 2 blockers with the denial.
No, that was an easy defense at the net for Perpetual. And again, nobody covered the hitter on the side of Coast Guard.
Kaya pa bang makabangon itong Dolphins. Soft touch will not work out for Perpetual, who sets it up for Kasim, and he scores.
Edimar Kasim seeing that angle cross court, avoiding the blockers of Perpetual.
Hindi pa nakakabalik sina Ismail Kasim, Abdul Wahab, because the Philippine Coast Guard is actually playing decent volleyball with this unit on the floor right now. Sayang na pagkakataon for the Dolphins. It was actually a free ball. They were not able to convert on it.
It is, and Abdul Wahab was not ready for that. The first time it's a regalo, but it was not capitalized. The second time around, he gave a free ball, and that chance, was taken by Perpetual.
That was Raf Abdul Wahab, who also saw his first action here in the fourth set.
Good run by Kasim.
Free ball though for Perpetual. Casanya goes to the runner once again. And that is a net touch kontra sa Dolphins. Second technical timeout. Perpetual Altas leading 16-10 against the Philippine Coast Guard.
Dalawa, ready ha. Steam pa lang, anin lang lamang yan. Intindihan, tayo papakasigurado dyan. Okay? Diretso ha. Hey, you birds! Dalawa.
Down by 6. Can the Philippine Coast Guard recover against the Perpetual Altas? They won the first set, lost the next two, and now they are at the brink of losing their debut here in your 2019 Open Conference of Spikers Turf.
Yeah, but I like the reminder of Coach Marcelo, don't be complacent. Mabilis lang makuha yan if they're up by 6. And knowing, how a Philippine Coast Guard can play, they just have to be consistent and be able to sustain this lead.
Ismail Kasim back on the floor alongside Abdul Wahab. Bibigyan sila ng pagkakataon para subukang makabawi, and immediately the Dolphins pull 1 point back.
Good decision that time for Abdul Wahab to give that ball to the back or to the opposite.
Francisco with a serve there.
Though Edimar Kasim was in that angle, that was just too strong for him.
Henry Malinis with that hit. Cross court, right into Ed Kasim, who could not send it up. Ismail Kasim once again bothered by two blockers. 4 touches.
Now, another thing that I believe Kasim needs to realize is that every time he gets blocked, there's another chance, another opportunity to recover. But then if your teammates don't cover your hits, then that would be a wasted opportunity on your side.
Service error though coming from Perpetual. This one for Roniel Rosales. Still a 6-point lead for Perpetual though, 18-12. Malakas naman yung service din. Binalik lang ng Philippine Coast Guard. Babalasan ng tao itong Perpetual. as they're 6 points away from scoring a victory in this matchup against the Dolphins. Pero kung ikaw yung Philippine Coast Guard, malayo pa to. There's still a lot of volleyball left to be played. Ismail Kasim with the off speed.
Finally, he was able to get that point, make adjustments when it comes to his offense. He could have done that earlier, but they need more of that. And with the help of his teammates.
And they need a run. Kailangan, hindi pwedeng palitan lang ng puntos. At yun na nga yung sinasabi natin, after getting a much-deserved point, Kasim throws one back to the side of Perpetual.
How can you build up your momentum, you know, if they have been committing errors again on the service area?
Chance ball here for Perpetual. And they convert.
Yes. No, that is a point.
Sorry, it's wide.
that
It's
is
wide. I thought that was in for Muhali.
point given to Philippine Coast Guard.
Gadula now serving. Good blocking. Coming from the Dolphins, Francisco and Ed Kasim combining there. Down by 5.
Right, you can see the relief, you know, when they were able to get a point, right? But kailangan pa nilang kumapit.
Sunod-sunod dapat eh. For first ball here. Perfect opportunity for the Coast Guard. And they inch closer. Alam mo, Sheila, yung hindi natin naririnig na pangalan, Jobert Almodiel.
Be silent pa. But then, you know, we seeing a lot from Ramirez, you know, their middle attacker. Their go-to guy for this time.
Sinabi mo yung pangalan, nagparamdam naman agad. Ramirez, who has been a gem for Perpetual, extends their lead back up to 5, and more importantly, inches them closer, now at 21 points.
No, that's correct. But you can see Almodiel contributing when it comes to defense. Ganda ng mga basa niya.
Saan pupunta ang opensa? Ed Kasim. Not over. Oh, they give it to them. From our angle, Sheila, you know, I'd hate to disagree with the referee, but from our angle,
it seemed like it
mukhang
hit the
hindi
blocker's
tumama sa
hand.
blockers. Well, lucky break, it happens. Breaks of the game. Siding with the Dolphins that time around. Outstanding defense coming from the Dolphins. Can they hang on? Buhay pa rin ang bola. One more chance for Perpetual. Sent over by Ismail Kasim. Our best rally of the matchup so far. Tuloy pa rin to. Finally, a big statement coming from the defense of the Dolphins.
You know, I love the effort of the blockers on the side of Philippine Coast Guard. You can see how well they defended that net. Walang lumagpas na bola. 4 exchanges. Sarado ang bangko for a Philippine Coast Guard.
Buhay pa ang Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins, down by 3, 21-18. Timeout for Perpetual.
Tapos ikot ka isa dito. Shoot. Ha? Naintindihan. Pag binigay sa inyo, paluin nyo ng malakas. Huwag nyo yung papaluin sa blocker. Naintindihan ba? O, isang pasa lang. Tara. Tatapos tayo eh. Tara, para mo. Hey,
21-18. Good run for the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins as they'll try to stretch and claw their way back into this 4th set and force a 5th and deciding set against Perpetual. Almodiel, can he take control of this matchup late in the 4th set? And help his team close it out. Combination play, nabantayan. Isa pang pagkakataon, Ed Casim with a tap. Pero napayungan ni Rosales.
Now that is a poor decision on the side of Edmar Casim, just to give an easy drop. Looking that he has two tall blockers in front of him.
Back to a 4-point lead, 22-18 for the Altas. EJ Casanya serving. He has been solid. He has been steady in this entire matchup. Quick attack works out for Francisco.
There were no blockers in that last sequence for Perpetual.
Galvez, service specialist. Check-in for the first time para sa Philippine Coast Guard.
Excellent serve.
Good defense for the Dolphins. Casim. And they're humming now, only down by 2, 22-20.
It's a good, excellent run here by the Philippine Coast Guard.
Another good serve. Mula kay
Galvez. Yes.
Almodiel picks it up. And that ball will sail out kontra sa Coast Guard.
Slowly but surely, Coast Guard's defense, is showing here.
Altas now just 2 points away. And that is the reason why the Philippine Coast Guard will call this timeout.
Tulong muna tayo sa sa receipt. Guys, sa natin na receipt pa tayo. Tapos na natin dala. Pag pumali ka sa mga ating coverage, lang tayo coverage. Sarap pabulin yan, guys. Tatlo lang yan.
Well, it's all about great defense again here. And the Philippine Coast Guard hanging on for this part of the match.
They're down by 3. Perpetual with the serve. Good floor defense, but a chance ball for the Dolphins. But that hit is out, and it will bring us into match point for Perpetual.
That is, a great set, I have to say. Pero masyadong napalihis yung angulo doon ni Francisco. And Abdul Wahab actually has 3 attackers in front this time.
Mohali serving there. Abdul Wahab pumunta kay Ismail Casim. Ball's kept alive. The MVP not be able to score. Balik kay Casim. Denied, sent back. At tumama sa antena for a point para sa Dolphins.
The good thing that Philippine Coast Guard already has other spikers for this conference. Nakita mo, Casim was blocked twice, and they were able to cover that, and that's a good decision to be given that ball to the opposite side.
A service error para kay Francisco will gift the final point of the matchup to the Perpetual Altas. That is, the worst way to go if you are a member of the Dolphins. It was a problem throughout the matchup. It looked like they recovered, but in the end, it was a service error that cost them the match.
I think that is the last thing that they expect, on how this game will end. But unfortunately, that is an error committed again by the Philippine Coast Guard.
We'll take a quick break and we'll meet our best player of the game when we come back. Perpetual Altas picking up a victory against the Philippine Coast Guard Dolphins in 4 sets. And our best player of the ball game is Kenry Malinitz. And Kenry, you lost the first set, no, kontra sa Philippine Coast Guard. Kayo yung mas batang kupunan kontra sa mga veterano. How did you recover to sweep them the rest of the way?
Yun na nga po, parang nanibago siguro po kasi first game namin. Pero yun na po, tinutuloy na po yung second set para makuha naman po.
You've been dominant in the NCAA competitions, pero ngayon lalaban kayo kontra sa mga veteranong kupunan, mga kuya nyo na halos. How are you attacking this tournament? At ano ba talaga yung reason nyo kung ba't kayo sumali?
Parang exposure na lang po din sa amin po. At saka, yun na nga po, training lang po ng training para ready kami sa lahat ng laban namin.
Ngayon, bibigyan ka namin ng pagkakataon para batiin yung supporters mo at ng buong kupunan.
Nagpapasalamat po kami sa chairman namin, Antonio Jose Tamayo, at saka sa president namin na si Tamayo family and buong Perpetual, at saka yung coach po namin po na si Coach Simpronio Akailan nanood sa, tsaka sa family ko po sa Cebu, tsaka sa teammates ko din po, coaches. Maraming salamat po, guys.
Congratulations to Perpetual Altas as we send it back to Sheila for our match highlights.
What a good way to end their first game for the Perpetual Altas. You know, Coast Guard doing the works on the first set. The Kasim brothers performing excellently when it comes to their offense and defense. And Altas was challenged, you know, but then the contribution of Almudiel is on and off, which must maximized by the Philippine Coast Guard. But on the second set, Perpetual was able to nab the momentum, improve their offense and defense as well.
Second set was a big recovery coming from the Perpetual Altas. Performed nicely also in the third set. Nagtuloy-tuloy yung taas ng kanilang kumpiyansa. Philippine Coast Guard putting in the effort but not getting enough. They were actually able to limit their unforced errors in the second, third, and fourth sets, but the attacks just too much to overcome. As we take a recap of the numbers, you can see there are 38 errors in total for Philippine Coast Guard.
Well, even when it comes to their attacks, it's Philippine Coast Guard taking the advantage there, but then it's the defense that really paved the way for the win for the Perpetual Altas.
And what a debut for the Altas, taking down the Philippine Coast Guard in their first game, as we remind you of our games on Thursday. Still here at the Paco Arena, Santa Elena Ballhammers against the Mapua University Cardinals at 1. And then we have the Adamson University Soaring Falcons going up against the NCBA Wildcats and the CEU Scorpions, finishing off our day's proceedings, going up against the Eco Oil DLSU squad. So for Sheila Salaysay and the rest of the hardworking men and women of One Sports, my name is Carlo Pamintuan. We'll see you again on Thursday for more of your 2019 Open Conference of Spiker Stir.